Sir Isaac Newton was arguably the smartest human being to ever live. He discovered gravity, he invented calculus, he mastered the laws of planetary motion. But in 1720, the man who could calculate the movement of the stars could not calculate the madness of men. In a single summer, Newton lost the modern equivalent of $5 million. He famously said, "I can calculate the motions of the heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." What could possibly fool the greatest mind in history? It wasn't a war, it wasn't a plague, it was a company that did absolutely nothing. A company built on a lie, fueled by greed, and protected by the King of England himself. This is the story of the South Sea Bubble, the first great financial disaster that nearly deleted the British economy from history. The year is 1711. Britain is a superpower, but it has a massive problem. It's broke. Decades of constant warfare with France have left the government with a staggering national debt of £10 million. In today's money, that's a weight that could sink a kingdom. Enter Robert Harley. He needed a way to manage this debt without raising taxes, which would cause a revolution. He came up with a scheme that was as brilliant as it was dangerous. He created the South Sea Company. The deal was simple. The company would take over the government's debt. In exchange, the government gave the company a monopoly, total control over all trade with South America. Gold, silver, exotic spices, the British public imagined ships coming back overflowing with treasure. There was just one small problem. Spain owned South America, and Britain was at war with Spain. The monopoly was essentially a permit to trade in a place they weren't allowed to enter. They didn't have Twitter or CNBC. They had coffee houses. Places like Jonathan's Coffee House in London became the first trading floors. The directors started spreading rumors. They whispered of hidden mountains of gold and secret treaties with the Spanish king. None of it was true. The company barely sent any ships at all. In fact, their primary business wasn't trading goods. It was trading their own stock. By 1720, the scheme evolved into a giant debt swap. They invited the public to trade their safe government bonds for exciting South Sea stock. And the genius part? The more the stock price rose, the more debt they could pay off. They needed the bubble to grow. This is where the madness begins. In January 1720, the stock was 128 pounds. By June, it hit 1,050 pounds. Imagine your neighbor, a simple blacksmith, buys a house and a carriage in a week because he bought stock. What do? You buy too. The South Sea fever took over London. Even King George I invested, but it got weirder. Because the South Sea Company was doing so well, dozens of copycat companies started appearing. One company was literally advertised as a company for carrying on an undertaking of great advantage, but nobody to know what it is. People were so desperate to get rich that they invested in a company where the founder literally said, "I'm not telling you what we do." He raised 2,000 pounds in one morning and vanished by lunchtime. The world had gone insane. Every bubble has a pin. Ironically, the pin for the South Sea Bubble was the company itself. The directors realized that all these copycat companies were stealing investment money away from their stock. So they pushed the government to pass the Bubble Act, which made it illegal to form a company without a royal charter. They wanted to kill the competition, but they accidentally killed the mood. People started to wonder, wait, if those companies are illegal and fake, what about this one? In August 1720, the selling started. It wasn't a dip, it was a cliff. By September, the stock that was worth £1,000 was back down to £150. The gold mountains were gone. The secret treaties were revealed as lies. The suicide rate in London spiked. Members of Parliament were being pulled from their carriages and beaten in the streets. The public wanted blood. The government had to find someone to blame. They seized the estates of the company directors. One director had his wealth reduced from £300,000 to just £5,000. Out of this chaos rose Robert Walpole, who became Britain's first Prime Minister by essentially cleaning up the mess and protecting the royal family from the scandal. The bubble didn't just ruin people, it redesigned the entire British government. Why do we tell this story today? Because the South Sea bubble wasn't about ships or Spain. It was about a new economy that people didn't understand. In 1720, it was South Sea trade. In 2000, it was the internet. In 2021, it was crypto and NFTs. The technology changes, the wig styles change, but the math of human greed remains the same. Isaac Newton lost his fortune because he thought he was smarter than the market. Don't make the same mistake. This is History of Ruin. Subscribe to keep your ledger in the black.